Okay, so this is question 34. We were given the cosine of alpha and the sine of beta. And now we're going to go back and find the sine of alpha and the cosine of beta. So we established that alpha was in quadrant 1, so we're going to draw that. Extend that out. So since cosine, what's the ratio of cosine again? Tell me. What over what? Adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, so that would give us the square root of 5 here over the hypotenuse of 5. And tell me again, how do we get the third side? Pythagorean theorem. So we are given A and C, so we're going to find the B. So we have the square root of 5. We'll have to square that. And we're given the C, and we'll have to square that. So that gives us, we're going to subtract the A from the C, so that's going to give us the 25 minus, and then when we square a root, we just get back what's inside, right? So that ends up giving us 20, but we have to then do what? Square root. Remember that you must simplify your square roots down. If there's a perfect square under there, it needs to come out. This one has a perfect square in it. What is it? 4. So if you broke this down into the square root of 4 times the square root of 5, what would be your simplified answer? 2 square root of 5. So we'll put that in for our side. That will now enable us to find our sine of alpha. Tell me again what the ratio is for your sine. What's the ratio? Opposite over hypotenuse. So this time for sine, we'll go to the opposite, and that was the side that we just found, 2 square root of 5 over the hypotenuse of 5. Now we'll come over and we'll find beta. Beta we established was in that quadrant 4, so we'll draw that in. They gave us sine of beta, so to be negative 4/5, so we'll go opposite over the hypotenuse. And you know what this one is. Your missing side here is what? 3. That's one of your triples. Now, the one thing that I've noticed that you guys need to really, really be careful with is the signs. Why is the 4 a negative 4? It's in this quadrant, right? And your point right there is the 3, negative 4 because of the y value. So be very, very careful when you work through these. So now, what is cosine of beta? No, adjacent. Adjacent. 3 over 5. So now we've got that. So now then we can just go back and we just drop in all those values. So let's do a couple of them. So let's do the sine plus the beta. Let's go with purple. All right, sine of alpha plus beta. And a lot of you stopped at this point. A lot of you then said, well, I don't know where to go from here. You have already done the hardest, in my opinion, the hardest part is already done, okay? The nice thing about formulas is they're telling you what you need to do and where you need to put the values, right? So don't be afraid of formulas. I'd rather have a formula than not, right? Because if I don't have a formula, I'm going to sit there and go, okay, what am I supposed to do next? You know what you're going to do next with a formula. So don't shy away from them. They're helpful, okay? They're leading you. They're guiding you. So if we do sine of alpha plus beta, our combination is going to be the sine of alpha times the cosine of beta plus the cosine of alpha times the sine of beta. Okay? And you don't have to do anything. Why? Because you've already found these values. You don't have to do anything. You're just going to, at this point, what? Chug and plug for the most part, right? So you go back. What did you find for sine of alpha? Okay, and what did you find to be the cosine of beta? Cosine of alpha times sine of beta. And be very careful because now you're introducing a negative n, okay? All the rules that you've learned about negatives apply, right? If you have a double negative, you're going to have to change it back to a positive. Very, 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 very careful. You know those negatives always catch up with you. So if we go back and multiply, go back to your first set, you can multiply the whole numbers. You can multiply the 2 and the 3 to give you 6. Cannot touch the square root. Leave it alone. You can multiply the 5s together. Plus the square root of 5 times the negative 4. You just bring them together as multiplication. So it will be a negative 4 square root of 5 over 25. And in this case, you have a 25 for the denominator, so let's go ahead and combine them. Now, when you combine them, what's going to happen is, since these are both square root of 5s, you can think of those as being like terms, like a 2x added to a 3x. You can add them together only for the fact that the radicals are the same. So this would be the 6 square root of 5, and then this would be what? Minus, okay? So 6 minus 4 would give you 2. So you'd have 2 square root of 5 over the 25. Now, can I simplify this any further? No. Can I touch that radical? No, because that's not a 5, right? It's a square root of 5, which is a whole different value, right? That's a decimal of some kind, right? So we would stop, and that would be our answer. Okay, let's go back to the first triangle. What is the ratio for your tangent? Opposite over adjacent. So tangent of alpha would be what? What's opposite? 2 square root of 5 over adjacent of. Can we do anything with that? Actually, no. What else can we do? Can we cancel? Can we cancel? We can go ahead and just cancel those. So tangent of alpha is really just going to be what? 2. Okay, let's come over here. Let me change color on this one. All right, let's come over to our second one. Let's find tangent of beta. Okay, opposite. What's your opposite? Beta, come on. Negative 4 over your adjacent of 3. Okay, so here's our, let's highlight them so we know what we're working with. Okay. All right, so what do we have to do? We just drop them in. So let's go do that. So tangent of alpha is 2 minus tangent of beta. Okay, and what's going to happen here? It's going to be minus a negative 4/3. This is what I was talking about earlier. That's going to kick back to your positive, right? Over 1 plus your tangent of alpha times the tangent of beta. I'm just going to come right over here over underneath it, and let's do that. So alpha was 2, and beta was negative 4/3. So multiply that together. What are we going to get? Negative 8/3. Okay. So what do you have to do now? Tangent gets a little complicated, doesn't it? Let me change colors. Now let's go ahead and combine. Let's find common denominator. Okay, so if we find common denominator here, we need a 3. And if we take a 3 down here, what's 2 times 3? 6. So that's essentially going to change to a 6/3. And then down here, this one's going to, your 1, if we're going to add a 3, that's going to change to your 3/3. All right. Let's go back now. Okay. So we have a 6 plus the 4, which is what? 10. So you'd have 10 over your common denominator of 3 over. Now you have 3 minus 8, which is negative 5 over 3. And really just one more step. Now what? Multiply. So let's multiply by the reciprocal. So 10 over 3 times your 3 over your negative 5. Ooh, I'm running out of room. That would be what? Could we do some canceling? Okay. 3's are gone. They go to 1. 10 and negative 5? So this would be that would be the negative 1, and this would be the 2. So all this really just equals what? There it is. A lot of work, right?